happening, HC Nation? Hey, Zach Edwards here on another Minisode Monday, This Week in History. So check this out. November 27th, this is actually something that hits me fairly hard because I'm part Native American, and one of the big things is a lot of people talk about pushing the Native Americans off to reservations and uprooting their lands and such. And there's a lot of controversy in there. I won't go into controversy. But Custer, Colonel George Custer, on this day, November 27th, 1868, actually went in a battle against Black Kettle of the Shawnee. And interesting enough, he was trying to push them out, or at least have them agree to, through force, to allow the railroad to go through their given land. And they put up a fight. And so he invaded the village of this chief and killed him and most of the people that were there. So, interesting enough, Custer at the time was only 29 years old. Given this assignment by others, and so he did it and caused a lot of blood. They said the rivers were running with blood that day. So coming from a Native American background, it's really hard to see that, and loving my country. And it's not, I do not blame the country for some of the things that other people did. I'm sorry that these things had to happen. And they didn't have to happen, but I'm sorry that they did happen. But we can move on, we can grow from these experiences. And that's what I hope everyone can do, is learn from these experiences and move on. Ever since that point, though, we've never been able to, we have done certain things that are not of the best light for our country, as all countries have. But we've learned from it, and we've done better. So, okay, so the next one, there's actually a lot of things, or there's two things this week that have to do with my ancestry and the Native American culture. So, not this one. This one's definitely not that. November 28th, 1950, actually U.S. sent warships over to Korea. Oh no, sorry, that's coming up in a few days. Sorry, November 28th is when China entered the Korean War, and they sent 200,000 troops from China into North Korea and down into where the battle was. And basically that was basically one of the ending motions that ended the Korean War. Yeah, China came into the conflict. They supported North Korea and their communism. South Korea, on the other part, trying to be a democratic nation. And so there's a lot of controversy in North Korea. We will be doing a expansion pack on that, so you can actually learn more about the South and North Korea conflict. It's quite interesting. But also, November 29th was quite interesting because this is the day the Allies got together in Tehran. And if you don't know where Tehran is, it's in Iran, which is not a very good nation when it comes to the U.S. standards, and not a very friendly nation, I should say. This is where the U.S., the British, and also Russia came together, the leaders. So we got Winston Churchill, we got Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Stalin. Did I say Winston Churchill? I meant Winston Churchill. Came together and created an accord to fight together against Germany and Italy. Well, okay, that's fine. But because they met together, Tehran actually asked for some sort of agreement to give them more power. Yes, so this was the start of what ended up at one point to become Iran, modern day. So World War II, dude, should we have done that? Should we come to their agreement to get this all going? Probably not. But I mean, we live and learn, right? That's what we've been talking about. Okay, November 30th, last day of the month. This is the day when the US sent a battleship, a warship, over to China because they were worried that the communists were going to kill off a lot of the foreigners there. Not just the US citizens, but people from other countries. And the communists were actually becoming very, very abusive to the foreigners that were visiting China. And so the warship was there to show power, to stop them from attacking these foreigners. And it's somewhat worked. Look it up. There's some more information on there. Okay, so December 1st. This is an interesting day because this is the day when, sorry, I was about to say Australia, Antarctica became a continent for science. Nothing else. It was a treaty made throughout all the major countries that it would be divvied up so that everyone could study on Antarctica, in order to make it used for science. So it's not something that people could colonize. People have been all over Australia. My dad went to Australia. He went through New Zealand, down to Australia, toured a lot of it. And so this is a quite interesting land down there. It was also banned from military bases, nuclear exposure, and dumping radioactive chemicals and other materials in that. So, and then also another little tidbit for today, December 1st. This is back in 1990. Europe and England were joined through the channel. That was just a really cool little thing. That's when they finally popped their heads through and said, "How's it going?" Okay. So December 10th, last one for this week. Oh no, sorry, we have one more. So we have two more. This is quite interesting because December 2nd, 1832 is when President Monroe actually told Europe, keep your hands off the American continent, North and South. A lot of the Latin American countries had just received independence from Spain, and a lot of other people had become free. A lot of the other countries had become free from all these different places. Now, interesting enough, Canada was still a British Empire, part of the British Empire, but this is where basically Monroe told all you European countries to keep your hands off the American continent, south, north and south. Quite interesting. Okay, so I promised you two events that had to do with Native Americans and my heritage. Okay, so great-great-great-great-grandparent was Andrew Jackson. Also great-great-great-great-grandparent, where I'm part Cherokee, and I'm trying to remember, we just found out that we're actually part of another tribe through genealogy. Interesting study, or it's a fun activity, genealogy, to go through and find out where your ancestry is from. But we just found out that we're actually part of another tribe, and I'm not quite sure which one that second one was. But Cherokee. Now, Cherokee and Andrew Jackson don't get along very well. Andrew Jackson, after becoming president in 1828, December 3rd, he later on made what would later become the Trail of Tears, where he pushed out all the Cherokee Nation from the Florida, Georgia, the southern colonies, and pushed them out and made them walk to their new reservation, the new land that he had promised them, given them. Well, a lot of people died on the Trail of Tears. That's why it was called the Trail of Tears. But people didn't just die. My grandmother was actually given away to a white family so that they could take care of him, because their parents didn't. Because my grandmother's parents did not believe that she would make it through the walk, and so trusted her with another family, a white family, that they had respect for. And so I'm grateful that they did, but sadly also, because that happened, there are no records linking me to the Cherokee Nation. I would love to have my records linked with the Cherokee Nation, but all I have is genealogy and the stories from our ancestors. And so that's what I bank off of, that I am part Native American. My DNA actually shows it too, which is great. You know, I don't know if you've seen the DNA test, but they can actually test where you're actually from, the nationalities, if you're from Africa, from Europe, from Asia, from some of the tribes in the US, which are just starting to open up. Some of the people from those tribes are starting to take the DNA test as well. And you can't actually find out where your DNA is from unless they have places to match it. There's tags inside DNA to tell you where you're actually from. And so as more DNA is collected, more of these more of this understanding that will be released. And I'm really excited about that because I'd love to know where I'm actually from. So thank you again for joining me for this week's Minisode Monday, This Week in History. We'll catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. If you have any comments or questions, add them to the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, actually. Take care. Bye.